Welcome to the Music and Music Tech podcast for Cambridge School of Creative Industries, brought to you by the Cambridge Creative Cast. I'm Mark Pickering, and I'm here with four wonderful human beings. We have two students, and we have the head of the department and deputy head of school, Bill Campbell. Give us a wave, Bill.
Hey, everybody.
And we have Laura Reid. Give us a wave. And we have Nathaniel Channings as well. Laura Reid and Nathaniel Channings. Say hi. Nathaniel, hi. Cool. Can you hear me all right? Right. Cool.
Nope.
Thanks for joining me today.
Nathaniel looks like he's frozen in time.
He may well have. Well, we'll hope he joins us again. He
Hello,
may have
everyone.
to. Cool. Yeah, where I live here, we get loads and loads of helicopters and planes flying over. It's right where all the Spitfires practice their aerobatics, right above me. So I get to see all these amazing planes all day long.
Well, you're near Duxford.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I'm in the flight path of Duxford. So
I get a whole bunch of B1RDs flying overhead.
what are they? B1RDs.
Birds.
Oh yeah. So, where did I want to start? Right. Welcome back. We're going to be going back to work soon. We've all been in this lockdown weird kind of period that we've been forced upon us. And that's where we are. So we're all, well, I'm back to work full time next week. I mean, I've been full time anyway, but I'll be back in the building. But I guess, last time we saw each other, we were just expecting to come back, weren't we?
Yeah.
Back when lockdown started. So what I want to ask, right, as a student, when that happened, what was it like when you got the news? Start with Laura. Give us a lowdown on that. What was it like? I'm just interested from what it was like from a student point of view when you got the news.
So we were told that we only had a week left in uni, and then it would be completely closed. So I booked 2 full days in a row in the studios, and ended up I already had library books out, and I went to the library to get more books that might be useful, and I've actually got 15 library books now. Oh. So that was my response. And then I ended up trying to do an entire third of the work for Simon in one day in the studio, which was a bit not my greatest, but it was okay.
And but you got it done anyway.
Yeah, and Nathaniel, what were you when you found out what was going on, and what were you doing, and how did you feel about it?
We were sort of guessing it would happen, but at that point, my group had done all our recording stuff in the studio, so we were like a couple of weeks ahead on studio stuff. So we weren't really panicked about that. But if we had been, that would have been quite bad because there were other people in similar positions. But yeah, basically for us, it was a lot of writing up and a lot of Zoom calls with Simon, basically, and that's about it. And then a couple with John as well, of course. But we were able to do the same sort of sessions pretty regularly. It didn't affect us that much, but I would say for some of the international students, because we've got a few in my year at least, they were probably a bit more worried because I think most of them are probably in their own respective countries at the moment. So it's different for everyone. I thought it was fun.
Lost that last sentence there, but you thought it was, but we'll go with that because I quite like that sentiment. But yeah, obviously, it was strange for us because we were just like, all right, we have to leave,
I went into panic stations straight away, and it was a lot of work to try to organize everything, reassure students and staff that we're going to cope. Then it was a lot of trying to figure out how we're going to actually cope with things and what needed to be done. And to be honest, it's still going on as well. I'm still planning, still working things out, still trying to get staff sorted out, make sure students' experiences are going to be, well, this year better, because we're also at the same time basically delivering a new audio music technology course. So everything's all changing all the same time and pretty much on a daily basis.
It's quite interesting because what I found is what was kind of weird is it thrusted the future on everybody, like, because there's going to be a lot more mixed online and face-to-face teaching. That's going to be the way of the future either way. And what was interesting from a staff point of view was quite a lot of people were really worried about like doing this kind of thing, because this isn't natural. Sitting in front of a computer like this, looking at people, right? It's trying to get used to doing it this way, and it's not natural. But there was a lot of. I remember there was a big staff meeting, and people were upset, and people were worried about how to deliver their practical courses, and like with ours is one of them, and we've got some stuff to talk to you guys about a little bit later. But yeah, for me, once it was, I've been working nonstop since it happened. Working on returning, just getting everybody back in and safely. And I've never written so many health and safety documents before. I haven't, and that's for me, that's the most boring stuff in the world. But it's important, and it's about how do we work out the capacity for social distancing in our facilities and all this stuff, and it's been a real challenge. But in between that, the weird thing is, once during that period when nobody's working and there wasn't really a lot going on, I know how I felt. I know what I was doing and how I felt. But how did everyone else cope with that real, like, right in the middle of lockdown? The real savage part. Laura, how did you cope?
I got the virus probably from work on the 28th of March. I started showing symptoms. I felt like I was going to, I got the gastric symptoms and thought I was going to throw up all over the shop floor. Didn't, but I got sent home, and then I was ill for months. So I spent a lot of time in bed. Trying to get my work done with brain fog was interesting. So I'd work in the morning, completely spend all of my mental capacity, and then spend the rest of the day lying in bed, just like.
Because because essentially what we have to applaud you, Laura, by the way, because you were a frontline worker, at the beginning of this, because Laura works for, can we say the name or not?
I don't know, a supermarket.
Yeah. And that's like the danger zone,
I actually had to quit because I was fulfilling the online orders. So you're on your feet for 4 hours straight, loading stuff into boxes, and I was like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to breathe enough to do that again. So I just had to tell them, like, I can't do the job anymore. I could do it now, actually. I'm like pretty much back to normal now. But
may I add that I talked to Laura during this thing, and I think she's underselling how ill she really was, because I think that we were worried whether Laura would be coming back next year, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's how ill she was. So
it was bizarre because I thought I'd really done my lungs in, like, from the virus, and then I ended up having a hospital stay in mid-July, just overnight, because I had chest pain. So I'd been dealing with a sore throat and difficulty breathing since end of March, and so then I had chest pain, rang 111. They were like, go to A&E, and so they kept me in. My heart rate was really high. they were checking in case I had a clot, because some people, having had the virus, develop a clot and stuff. And it turned out to be gastritis. And they did chest x-ray, CT scan, and were like, your lungs are okay, actually. But there was like a lot of pressure on my chest from my stomach. And that you can actually get a sore throat from all the reflux. But I couldn't even tell that that's what it was, because I'd been dealing with breathing problems from the virus, and then that must have sorted itself out while the gastritis developed. So
I'm wondering, was the gastritis like I guess a side effect of having the COVID-19 virus?
It seemed to be. The doctors felt that it must be. I ended up talking to 4 different doctors at the hospital, because there was like a general doctor, and then I spoke to a cardio doctor, a respiratory doctor, and then a digestive specialist, while they like narrowed down what they thought it might be. And the gastric one, he had actually had the virus himself, no symptoms, and he was struggling going up and down stairs at work. But they were like, it must just, because there's so many variations on how people react to it, that the doctors were like, that must just have been the way your body reacted. So most people don't get the gastric stuff, they get the respiratory stuff.
Yeah, wow. I mean, like, I mean, it's great to see you back, and you're looking pretty chirpy, so that's a good sign.
Yeah. Once I had the medication for the gastritis, that sorted me out.
Right. I mean, I don't want to snoop, but did anyone else have any issues or concerns that they might have gotten ill?
I'm pretty sure I got ill.
Nope.
Yeah, I think the week, I can't remember exactly, but I think it was the week before we went into lockdown, I was in bed for a week with flu-like symptoms. And I basically have had a cough ever since, and lungs just don't feel right. I don't feel like they're at full capacity all the time. And but who knows if I had it? Maybe I'm just paranoid.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's you I mean, if you didn't get tested, you will never know. But I mean, you can take you probably did have it, for all you know.
I'm pretty sure I did. So
because I know somebody who had it. I don't want to say their name because it wouldn't be fair. But man, like the actual initial bit, the virus wasn't too bad, but they've been suffering for months and months afterwards. In fact, they're in hospital right now. So, and this is 3 months after they had it. So there's all this crazy.
Yeah, this is my lung issues have carried on the whole time, and I hopefully that will improve. From what I understand, that should improve, but it's taking a long time.
Well, hopefully you'll be back fighting fit soon. I mean, one thing's worth pointing out, it's been, well, there's 2 sides to it for me. There's the extremely stressful side of it, right? Of the kind of lockdown thing. The social seclusion part of it. Did anyone else feel like that? Did anyone else get the feeling of sort of like, well, I can't see, like cabin fever type thing?
Yeah, I got cabin fever.
Yeah. Nathaniel, how were you getting on with all that stuff when it was going on?
I mean, absolutely nothing compared to Laura, which makes it all very trivial at this point. But it's exactly what you said, basically the cabin fever thing, because I live basically in a similar sort of position to you. I assume you're sort of secluded from people if you're near Duxford. And back to that note, we also get Spitfires going over all the time. It's really weird. But yeah, basically where I live is a farm, sort of a half an hour walk from the nearest village, and that's basically it. I'm living with my girlfriend's family. We all have separate houses and stuff, so we don't have to interact if we don't want to, because we were being quarantined for about 2 weeks after coming back from Manchester. But yeah, it is quite strange and quite stressful. You start feeling weird when you've been sat in the same sort of one place for 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks straight. But fortunately, we can go out and walk around. But yeah, it's not the best thing ever, to be honest. So I'm actually quite looking forward to going back for my 1 day a week.
I think a lot of people are. I got the Big Brother house syndrome as well a little bit because what we did, we'd been staying at a couple of nights a week. Well, my family had at my girlfriend's parents. So they just stayed there, and I came here every day and worked from here in my cab. So I treated this like going to work and went back there. But when you're living in someone else's space, they've got quite a big house and all that, but it was you're living under somebody else's rules. It starts to become really tedious, and as much as you get on with people, those relationships fray a little bit. And once we could split households again, we were like straight home. It was as lovely as they are. It was just like you're living in someone else's way. It's not really okay. Cool.
I've had the opposite to that, as I've been on my own for the whole time, for 6 months basically. So I've been by myself, and when I was able to go out, I think I've been to the pub once with a small group of people, and I've been to a couple people's houses, and as much as I enjoy being on my own, it was really nice to be with other people at the same time, and it's quite surprising how good it was to be with other people, It's not the same being on a screen like this as it is being in person with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're sitting getting tanked up or whatever, getting pissed, so I'll cut that out, getting drunk with your mates or whatever, it's not like being in the pub. Although being in the pub is weird as well, having gone to the pub, it's like. But what I've noticed is like the first day, I thought I'll go and see what it's like, see what it's about, and I was really careful. And all the people in the pub were wearing like shields and in my local, but I don't go into my local anymore because they've just stopped giving a shit.
A lot of places are like that.
Yeah, and I think it's a silly thing to do.
I'm in Oldham, my hometown. I'm at my parents'. My mum came to get me at the end of May, and we're halfway back into lockdown again because people weren't taking it seriously. So I've got a couple of school friends that I'd been planning to see in Easter originally, and I still can't see them because Oldham's had to go back into like, don't see anyone from another household, don't get within 2 meters of anyone, because people were having house parties and stuff. It doesn't help though that there have been 2 Eids under lockdown now, and we have quite a high Muslim population, and people like trying to celebrate Eid with their big extended family, but like none of them can see each other. I think made it really difficult for people. So yeah, we're sort of a bit more locked down than the rest of the country at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. I've heard about that with Oldham actually, because your MP is at Debbie Abrams.
Oh,
Labour MP, it's like one of the few left. But yeah,
we have 2 constituencies, and they're both Labour.
Yeah, it's like Oldham East, and then
Western Royton. I think.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I'd heard about that. I mean, I've been lucky enough to pick up quite a lot of freelance work because all these people, all these companies that do like training, face-to-face training, can't do it anymore. So I've picked up work. It's literally the day they announced that film crews could go back under social distancing in small crews. I was on set filming a chef's webinar training thing. So I've been quite lucky in that way. But what's strange is I was working in London, it was 2 weeks ago, and I was doing this live stream kind of for the BBC. I think it was BBC, I can't remember who it was, but it had Anthea Turner, some TV presenter from the 80s, and a current one, I can't remember her name, Olivia, I think she was a Blue Peter presenter, I'm not sure. But it's quite a big thing. But we were in East London for this, and it went on till about 11:30 at night, so I was leaving at about 1. And the streets were jam-packed. all the pubs were open. There was no social distancing. There was nightclubs pumping out music, people snogging. It was madness. I couldn't believe it. And I was thinking, there's surely going to be a second wave. Surely. I mean, I speculating entirely. With all this, I'll tell you what, though, has there been any element of it that either of you and Nathaniel, when he comes back, have enjoyed?
I think I didn't feel as bad emotionally as a lot of people did, because I was ill for so much of it that I didn't want to go anywhere anyway. It was like laying in bed and watching a lot of TV, and just being content with that because I couldn't really do anything else. So I feel like there were a lot of people being like stir crazy and stuff, and I was like, I feel fine emotionally, like, because I don't want to do anything anyway because from being ill. That I think in a weird way that made the lockdown more okay, because it was like, oh, I'm not missing anything being ill.
Yeah. What about you, Bill? Was there any element of this that you've enjoyed?
As funny as it sounds, when I said that I got a bit stir crazy, but I also enjoyed being on my own. Funny enough, I quite liked working from home, and I think that it helped me to accomplish a lot more because I didn't have to travel back and forth to work. I could just come in here and work, and I mean, I still had long days and probably spent a lot more time working this way, but it's been manageable, and I've enjoyed it. I think that's about that's about it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, there was elements of working from home that I enjoyed, as in if I'm doing admin and there's no real reason to be in, why do I need to go in? You know, and I think if we can continue that during the off when trimester's not on. Nathaniel's back. Hello, mate. So
I was here the whole time.
Where are you? Yep. So you were.
I turned on stealth mode.
Okay.
That's what it was.
I enjoyed not wearing shoes for 6 months.
See, for me, I can't see. It's funny. If I've got work to do, I have to get. I'm not saying get dressed, but like people sit talking about doing work in their pajamas. I can't do that. I have to get fully dressed, and like as if I'm going to work. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, I can't sit in my pants doing work. Slob.
Yeah, I've not done that well, but I haven't worn. I've hardly worn shoes the whole time. So, and that's nice. I like it.
Cool, man. It goes with the Jesus image too.
Yeah.
So, Nathaniel, was there anything about the lockdown period that you managed to enjoy?
I enjoyed just being stuck with online resources. That's not actually sarcasm. It's actual going online and looking for things that I can use to learn whilst I'm not able to go into uni. So like I realized that I had access to LinkedIn Learning for free with my student account, which I did not know. So I've been doing a lot of stuff on there, and then stuff on the MATLAB website and stuff that I found as well, which is all very helpful when you're going back to uni and you have to do stuff like that. So that's been pretty fun. That's pretty much all I've been doing since I've been stuck at home, is learning things.
Productive and resourceful. Well, that's
yes.
You're gonna go far, man. I'll tell you. Like for me, it's weird because I've found it a bit of a roller coaster ride. So certain elements I didn't enjoy. In fact, I'll be honest. I got upset one day, and I was actually sort of got a bit teary. But then once I got into my routine, I'm like, okay, I've just been in this cabin basically, surrounded by musical instruments, and my God, I've been doing stuff that I haven't had a chance to do for years, and it's made me really reassess what I do in my life and how busy I am, because I'm one of the busiest guys that I can even think of. I just go from one thing to another, to another, to another. And I'm always kind of juggling stuff and actually sitting down and I basically worked on an EP just through with a friend of mine, you know, sharing screen just through Zoom, just like working on a DAW. And it's been amazing. It's absolutely been amazing. And I've loved every minute of it. So there's a little bit of me that's like, oh, do I want to go back to how it was? And I kind of don't. I kind of want to clean my life up a bit and just get rid of some of the weight that I carry about with just by feeling obliged to do certain jobs and take on loads of work. So that's what I've taken from it all. So there. Right. So what have you been listening to? Let's cheer this, get this conversation happier. So Bill, what have you been listening to? Have you found anything new, or have you been music wise?
Well, I've been revisiting a lot of things that I've listened to in the past. I tend to wake up in the morning with songs in my head, and I listen to that. So lately, I've been kind of on a Pride and Glory kind of trip. I don't know if you all know who that is, but it's Zakk Wylde that used to play guitar for Ozzy Osbourne. And it's kind of a countrified rock kind of thing, which is quite heavy and with banjo and things like that. So I've been listening to that a lot, but also been discovering some new music that like a band called Fear. Have you guys heard of that?
Hands up if you've heard of Fear.
It's one of the original punk bands from the UK that was really quite good. You guys are probably all Metallica fans, right? And you've seen James Hetfield used to always have a sticker on his guitar that said "More Beer" or something like that. Well, that was from the band Fear.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yep. So now, I discovered that, and I kind of got into discovering who they are, and that's the beauty of where we are nowadays, is that we have such a massive back catalog of music available to us all the time now, and even if there isn't new music coming out that you like, there's so much in the past that you can entertain yourself for the rest of your life on what's there. So
cool, man. Laura, what have you been listening to?
Since I can move around again, because I have my lung capacity back, more like, it's not really anything new to me, but because I was already into disco, because when I did covers before I started uni, my favorite drumming was disco drumming, but stuff I can dance to. Before that, though, while I was ill, I came across Orville Peck, who is like this melancholy gay cowboy.
Wow.
His videos are interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I'm listening to anything new to me particularly other than that.
Cool. That's interesting. I've written that down. Orville Peck. That sounds fascinating. I'm going to check that out. Nathaniel, music-wise, what's been going on? Been listening to?
A bit of same old, really. Basically, I just live on Spotify and make lots and lots of different playlists, which is quite helpful because you sort of find lots of different songs. But more recently, I think it was a couple of months ago, there's a band called Igor and they're basically a really heavy metal band, but they've got like all these sort of Latvian folk instruments and stuff in them, and it's really weird. Sort of, if you're into metal,
that sounds cool.
Listening to regular metal and then listening to regular metal with like a polka thing in it is quite funny.
Yeah, that sounds. What were they called?
Yeah.
Igor.
They're called Igor, just spelt like yes, Master Igor.
Igor or Igor?
Igor.
Cool.
Igor.
What have I listened to? I've been listening to a lot of French electro, actually, because I've been playing my synthesizer a lot, and I just wanted to sort of listen to people who do it properly. And the French are the best. The Germans are pretty good too, but the French have just got a bit more swagger about it. And I discovered a guy called goes under the name of French 79. I've never heard of him before, and I'm quite into electronic music, but I've never heard of him before. And he's really well known. And he lives in Marseille, and he's been sort of putting up little live videos and things like that, and I've been enjoying that. It's been pretty cool. Although I have been the other night, it's been years, but I accidentally stumbled upon At the Drive-In again, and I was like, F yeah. And I just remembered why I loved that so much. And it sort of got me all nostalgic for like late 90s, early 2000s hardcore punk. And I was like, yeah. So I was enjoying that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, I've also been listening to Corrosion of Conformity a lot too. Awesome band. Has anybody heard of that band?
I have not.
Need to check it out. It's awesome.
I'm writing it down as we speak.
Yeah, I have heard of them. I haven't actually listened to them before.
They're really good. Really good.
What about holidays? Has anyone been away? Anywhere? Students?
Yeah,
No?
I've been to the Peak District for 3 days walking, which was awesome, and there was hardly anybody there, which made it even better.
So that was after we were allowed to, not when.
It was only about a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lovely part of the world there. I've been to the Peak District quite a few times. Yeah, very nice. Whereabouts were you staying, Bill?
I stayed right in a little village. I can't remember the name of it. Right. It was right in the Peak District, and funny enough, I was the only person staying in the hotel when I stayed there, and this is in the middle of a village as well. So, yeah, so it was quite lucky, and I knew I was the only one because I came down to breakfast, and they set one table. And there was a you know how they have the little table that has the cereals and things on it. There was one glass there. Loads of cereal, but one glass.
That's cool. You were helping the economy. That's Laura's part of the world up there, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm a bit below, but yeah.
You're a bit below, but yeah, it's near there though, isn't it?
Yeah. I did actually stay in a B&B overnight because we went to move my stuff from where because the tenancy ended on where I was in Cambridge. So we just moved my stuff across to somewhere else that's I'm just going to have until January. And on the way back, we stopped off in Whittlesea where my grandparents lived to visit their graves, which is not very exciting, but or fun. But we stayed in the same B&B that we've been staying in since I was a toddler, and the same woman runs it, and we were the only ones there. But yeah, she remembers me from when I was like 3-4 years old, and her, like, I think it's her daughter's kid. I remember him being a toddler, and now he's in junior school, so that was quite weird.
Awesome. That's really, really cool. I wish my holiday was as heartwarming as that. It was a bit of a weird one. We'd booked on a family thing to go to the south coast, and we booked it like ages ago. and that was with my partner and her mum and the twins and everything. And we didn't work, but they were going to be open, and I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, where is it again? And it was in Camber Sands, and that's down in.
I've been there.
Have you? East Sussex, Kent border sort of way, near the place with the big power station and the artists that live in it. What's it call it? Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah, but I can't remember what it's called.
Like a piece of land that sticks. Anyway, but there were cool things about it, you know. There was a little a kind of small steam railway that was actually quite big, and the kids had a really great time and all that. Most of the time the beaches were quiet, but on the day that we were leaving was the day that it was like 38 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole of, it must have been like the whole of Kent and Sussex arrived. And I was glad I was leaving. There was no space for all these people on that beach, man. It's big old beach, but there was thousands and thousands of cars for a couple of miles going out of the village. It was just awful. And the other thing was, the campsite we were staying in left a little bit to be desired. You know, the accommodation was all good, you know, nice caravan type thing, but there's a lot of wrongings there, I'll tell you, if you know what I mean.
I think I've actually stayed on that caravan site too, which was probably my last ever caravan site visit.
Was it?
Yeah, because it was so bad.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, look, I think it was more...
Because isn't it like a holiday park as well, where they have things for kids to do there?
Yeah. I mean, there's a Pontins up the road, and there's this, but it was,
which is just what it actually is a place for parents to go get drunk and let their kids do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting at. And there was, and the thing I noticed is like, go and have a drink, but you know, they were just kids with no idea where their parents were. Nappies full and stuff, and I went out for one evening, and you can see these people getting absolutely wasted, parents like gurning and stuff, and you're like, this has got a lot of wrongings in it, this place, you know. So I was very glad to leave there. So yeah, but I tell you what's funny is beaches aren't as busy as you think they are most of the time. You know, the newspapers take these photographs on these long lenses from far away to make them look like everyone's all bunched up. We were throwing rugby balls about, you know. It was fine, apart from that last day. All right, cool. Well, this has been awesome. So just before, last thing I want to talk about is we're returning to campus. So I'm already in Cambridge because I live in this area, Cambridgeshire. Nathaniel sounds like he's local. Laura, are you coming back?
Yeah. So I've moved my stuff into a place that it's just month by month, so I can move out as when I finish, because I'm being a January start. So I'm going to move in on the 12th properly, and then I'll be around. Cool.
I'm really glad. I'm glad. So it's going to be a little different, as you know. We might as well talk about this. Bill and I, as well as Ryan, and actually all of the technical team for the faculty, have been working really, really hard on making it safe for everyone coming back. And it will be much safer than anywhere you would normally go, as long as everyone does as they should. What I'll tell you from here, face coverings. When you enter the buildings and when you're moving around in the buildings and the corridors through the one-way systems, or at least the one-way systems that exist, you'll have to wear them unless you've got a medical exemption. In the studios, you won't have to wear them. But with your teaching, so let's say if you're in COM 123 critical listening, we're only allowed eight people in there. Now, if you're in a cohort of 15, that's going to be problematic. So what we'll do is we'll put Bill in another room with a camera on him, connected up, let's say if he wants to play music with high quality audio streamed to that room, so you can be in there and Bill will be up on the screen all big, and then the music will be coming out of those speakers. But we can also pipe that stream through to the studios. So if there's like maybe 5 students that's an overlap that can't fit in there, they can go in there and they can have a decent set of monitors each, and they can do critical listening that way. And classes where there's much larger sizes, we can utilize the AV lab as well. In fact, any space and we'll be streaming to for the critical listening stuff, for the stuff that's important for audio, we'll be streaming to YouTube. So that means people at home can be part of that as well. So yeah, that's what we've been doing. We've bought some new equipment, and we're looking forward to testing it next week.
It's quite a really good opportunity, really, because some of the things that we're going to be doing, we're going to be developing new ways of doing things. And it's probably, I think, a lot of things that we do, a lot of the new ways of going about doing things are probably going to be retained in the future, you know?
Yeah.
Because, you know, if we can stream and deliver lectures live at the same time, and we're going to be recording the lectures and putting them on Canvas so that you can come back to them as well if you need to.
So in some ways, there's going to be improvements. You know, that's an improvement generally, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think I don't know who else is doing this, but I think we've been pretty much trailblazing this. You know, to
Yeah.
not many other. I mean, Cambridge University is going completely online, but only like this. Whereas we're providing the option to have, you know, 2 camera angles if you need. So if Bill needs to do something in the studios or needs to show you a microphone technique, he can be miking up a drum kit in the live room while you're all watching in another room, you know. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's a really unique thing. Yeah. And hopefully we'll continue this afterwards.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we do will be retained, you know. I imagine at some point we'll probably go back into classrooms again with, you know, a lecture in front of a whole class, but I would say that we'll probably continue to film the lectures in the future and perhaps offer streaming so that students can watch it, you know, from somewhere else.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So it's lucky we got all that podcast gear because we're basically utilizing that.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that, Laura?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I know my sister's starting at Sheffield in September, and they're filming all their lectures so that if you can't or don't want to go in physically, you can watch them, which my sister's glad about because it means she can get the hang of taking her notes and how she's going to do it before, like without having to do it in real time because she can pause the video. So she's pleased with that. And I think in general for universities, it's kind of made everyone think about the future and all the technology that we have access to that's not being utilized that could definitely make things better for people, make things more accessible. If you struggle in lectures to keep up with what's going on, if you can watch it back afterwards, that's really useful.
I will also add that we are not only are you going to have a lecturer presenting your lecture, you're also going to have another lecturer on most things, not everything, but most things. You're going to have a lecturer monitoring MS Teams, and so if you have any questions, you can ask a question and it can be almost instantaneous. Or if you have because, you know, if we're dispersed about, that's going to be rather difficult. If somebody raises their hand and has a question, it's going to be difficult for the lecturer to monitor what's going on at the time in real time. So it means that so this is one of the reasons why I went this way, was because it means you're going to have 2 lecturers in most modules. I'd say 90% of our modules are 2 lecturers, which means that some lecturers are better at some aspects of certain things than other lecturers are. So they're going to be able to switch off on who's teaching what. So you're going to get the benefit of having different perspectives as well, which you've already experienced to a certain degree with Simon and I teaching a module. And did you like that?
Yeah. Well, it's a while ago.
Was a while ago now. Yeah.
So yeah, there'll be more information sort of released as like through official channels at at the appropriate times about all this as well. So yeah, that's what we've been up to behind the scenes. So do you we've lost Nathaniel, I don't think he's going to come back now, but do you have any questions, Laura, that you'd like to ask us?
I don't know. I know I was wondering about how the studios would work, but you've answered that. I had a moment because my mum was like, "Oh, you're going to be able to use the facilities and stuff," and I was like, "Yeah, I think they're opening everything." And she was like, "How are they going to keep that sanitized?" And I was like, "Oh my god, all the little knobs on all the mixing desks and stuff." But yeah, I think the sort of cleaning as you go yourself is the most sensible way of doing that.
It's the only way, really, isn't it? Otherwise, it's going to get crazy. But yeah, okay, cool. I've got a little announcement to make.
You're pregnant.
Well, I look like I am, but that's sitting around. But no, I will be lecturing this year.
Yeah.
Something that Bill's been wanting for a long time. So
yeah.
That's good news there. For audio for film. Probably the most appropriate
very
one.
Nice.
Anyway. Yeah.
I've got some news as well. An album that I produced last year went to number 15 in the iTunes charts in Brazil.
Very nice.
Very nice.
All right. So look, there's going to be it's going to be interesting coming back. It's going to be a bit different. But one of the things that we are going to be doing is we're not going to be policing anybody. It's not going to be a punitive system. If somebody forgets a face covering, we'll just give you one, or we're not going to bust people's butts about anything. But we're just going to, we're going to try and get that happy family atmosphere back, and just hope everyone behaves themselves. I'm sure they will, because I think punitive environments don't help anybody. Everyone's scared enough having to come back. So we're going to be there ready to receive everybody and happy to do so. And we're still going to keep up the same opportunities. We're still going to keep doing the podcast. In fact, I want to ramp this up a little bit in a different kind of way, more like this to start with. And I want you guys involved. And it's going to be an interesting year ahead. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be one for the books, as they say.
Definitely one of the most challenging years I've ever for anybody, but in this environment, trying to keep afloat and working in education, it's very difficult. But it will be definitely something that's going to go on the CV as hopefully a success that we can all put on our CVs and stuff. All right, with that, I'm going to end it there and say thank you very much for joining us. It's quite good that it was a small group because we can be a bit more intimate with our chat. So thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for dropping me in this one, Mark.
All right. The more we do it, the better we get.
Been good. I enjoyed it.
Cool. All right, and anyone who actually watched that or listened to that, thank you for doing so. We'll have more interesting podcasts coming very soon, and probably more fun ones too. So we'll be back on the next podcast from Music and Music Technology. Thank you very much.